What is up, Knights? Aegis Rick here, back with some more DFO Charge. This time on my female striker, or who I might consider my either third or fourth main. I'm not really sure if I put my F Satyr above this character. In terms of fun, though, I really enjoy this character. If that were the case, then yeah, this is my third main. But anyway, guys, female striker. You guys are going to see here my gear is not on the same level. In fact, what am I wearing? I'm wearing my meme speed gear. This is the gear that I wore during my Sonic video. I was doing some farming content, which, by the way, you want to have a fast farmer. You know, in the last video I talked about my Elven Knight, or sorry, my Paladin, how fast and how strong she was. Well, I have a faster character, but only in very particular content where Lightning Dance actually is useful. And I would say that actually for farming the content that we were just doing, that the F Striker's Lightning Dance can't really be used because there are too many enemies and I can't clear it fast enough. So unfortunately there's some varied situations in which this character is going to be very, very effective. But anyway, guys, we're not going to be worrying about farming or doing any of that with this character in this video. What we're going to be focusing on is what I kind of touched on in the last video, is Tabor's Junction. We're currently in the Tabor's Junction. Tabor's a Fallen Paradise, and I want to do some solo mode. So this is probably the character of which I would say definitely is prepared to show off the solo mode and what it is. And basically I have a full Harlem set, and every event item that we've gotten, enchantment to give me 15 elemental damage, 12 elemental damage, a whole bunch of enchantments for things like your weapon attack and all of that. I have all of that, have the best in slot title, Saviors, Triumph, Boxing Glove, that's actually plus 12. That's the reason we're going to be doing so well in here. This character, a rare avatar set with all these emblems, my character is decked out in some of the best stuff in the game. So aside from the Harlem set, which obviously the Harlem is not the best in the game, but it makes your character definitely strong enough. In fact, I've already done damage tests. This character can probably be at the very, very cusp at the cut line for Fiend War. So anyway, I'm definitely strong enough to do Tabors in a party if I just join pubs, but I have found that sometimes it takes a little while to formate one of those parties because there's a very, very severe lack of satyrs. So instead, what you might want to do is, you know, take the hit in the Sky Fragment cost or rewards that you're going to get. Instead of getting the normal 30 Sky Fragments, instead you'll get 24 per run, which means you'll be missing out on quite a bit of Sky Fragments by doing it solo, but at least you got the convenience of you know, just getting it over with. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing in this video. I'm going to take the hit and I'm just going to run it solo. Now, one thing you're going to notice about my female striker is that I'm actually going to have to perform 2 swaps. Okay, of course I've got my normal buff enhancement system. That's for the Power Fist. That's taking care of this buff enhancement window, and this is something that I don't normally have to do, but you can notice I'm wearing other types of gear right here. I'm wearing my Magic Cataclysm, Time Travelers, and my Lightning Speed, and what I'm trying to do is actually swap for another skill called the Muscle Shift. Now this is very unique. I don't really know any other characters that have another swap that works like this, but essentially Muscle Shift applies when I start the dungeon, right when I load into the dungeon, and also right when I resurrect. And if I can manage to get to level 10, you can notice right here that my cancellation regeneration time becomes 0 seconds. And when we load into dungeon here, I'm going to show you what that means as we go into solo mode. But essentially it gives me infinite cancels on the female striker, which is really, really cool. It's not necessary. I would say it doesn't really matter, but it is really nice convenience because now I switch to my real gear. I'm wearing my full Harlem set again and my weapon again. And you can look at the bottom left. I'm going to cancel like all my skills together. You can see the regeneration time right there. It actually is 0 seconds. It stays at 16 cancels, and you essentially can cancel your entire rotation of skills. You can use every skill in the game. You will not have to worry about any kind of cancellation system, which is kind of cool. You know, some other characters, you know, they have cancellations, but they have a certain number. Like Vanguard is one of those characters who you know, he has his impact smash system. Well, unfortunately, his impact smash, you have to wait for it to recharge. This is basically recharging in a time of 0 seconds. So that's kind of what I'm saying here, is that it's very powerful for that reason. So I'm going to use both my awakenings here just to kind of take care of that guy because he can get pretty annoying. But yeah, we're doing Tabor solo mode, guys. So I found that the hardest content, the hardest part of this dungeon is actually, is trash mobs, because like I mentioned earlier, when Lightning Dance can't kill in one hit, it becomes a lot less useful. And I would say one of her biggest weaknesses for female striker right now is that she has a hard time killing well, she has a hard time dealing with AoE. She doesn't have the greatest AoE. Most of her damage is going to be coming from fighting against bosses here. She can actually unload, because of the whole cancellation thing, she can unload her entire rotation against a boss like really fast, really easily. And so that's kind of where her specialty lies. You know, I'm able to cancel all these kinds of skills. And I would say I really enjoy the fact that her cooldowns are really just walked out of range right there. Her cooldowns are really nice as well. You know, she even if you miss skills like that, you're gonna have your cooldowns available when you really want them. At least a couple of them. So I'd say she has a really good balance of cooldowns. You know, in fact, back in the day, I used to complain that this character didn't have great cooldowns. I don't think it's as bad as I thought back then. You see, I just missed Lightning Dance, and you know, it's not even that big a deal. I'll have it back in the next rotation. So, anyway. So yeah, with the canceling system, that's where this character really excels, and she's really good against bosses. Now the cool thing is, I already know that in the future I'm going to be getting a buff to this character that's going to give her some suction on some skills that I don't really use right now, like my Shoryuken skill, absolutely unused on this character right now, but it's going to be pretty pivotal because what it's going to do, it's going to provide an excellent suction effect onto, should I concentrate here? Okay. Usually die during that phase because not really paying attention. Anyway, get a whole rotation off, and you can see what I'm talking about here with all the cancels I can do. Basically, use my entire rotation there. So yeah, this character is really good at killing bosses. That's kind of what I would say her call to fame is. But when she gets a change to give her the suction effect, she's going to be just like the Paladin, I feel like, where she has like a suction effect that can group up all the enemies, and then you don't have to worry about trying to, you know, divvy out multiple skills just to be able to kill an enemy. You can just use the one after grouping all the enemies onto one location. So it's going to be really awesome. But until then, canceling the skills is going to be the main thing now. Unfortunately, some of her animations put her at risk because, like that, you can see right there, sometimes she can be in the middle of an animation and not be able to finish it in time. So and there you go, we were able to do pretty decently fast run right there, 3.5 minutes, which is, I would say, pretty fast. I'd say on average, if you're like a little bit, if you have like a weaker weapon, the reason I'm doing it so quickly is because I have a pretty strong weapon, a +12 Saber Triumph. If you have just like a +10, it might take a couple minutes longer, honestly, or if you're a little bit, I will showcase on my Monk. It's going to take a little bit longer run Monk, but you can get some pretty fast runs going. Now, just remember when you're playing Female Striker that you have this swap to worry about. So whenever you're doing harder content, say you're doing Fiend Wars or something like that, or this content, you want to make sure you swap back to that gear every time you die or every time you start a new dungeon, and make sure, because right when you load into the map is when the muscle shift kind of snapshots. And so, like I said, this is something that only I've played a lot of characters. I'm not really sure who else really has to worry about another swap aside from their buff swap, where this is kind of like a passive swap, that snapshot. So they've kind of, you know, DFO's kind of slowly but surely gotten rid of all the snapshots in the game. So you know, that's just one that has stuck around, which is kind of cool that I have gear that benefits off of that. But anyway, like I said, not necessary if you don't have the gear that I have to make that possible, but just kind of mentioning that as a possibility. Now, one thing I want to talk about this character, you know, I love this character's canceling system. It makes playing this character so fluid. It is so satisfying. I know that canceling is like so standard and so cliche a thing at this point in this game, because everybody seems to have a cancel and everybody can do whatever the fuck they want. They can just cancel all their skills. In fact, I think that that's pretty standard now. I don't even think it's all that special that if your character has a cancel system, it's not really, you know, so many characters have a cancel system. But this was one of the first, you know, and I've played DFO even in Nexon ties. This is one of the first characters that had it, and had I think they've utilized it in a really awesome way. They've made a character that is like intentionally has skills that have really like fast animations, like 1-inch punch, things like the new kick, like here, the shadowless kick right here is something that is like hella damage but really fast to cast. Powerful crushing fist, 1-inch punch, all these moves, you know, you can kind of get them off like very quickly. And that's kind of, I think, the intended design philosophy with this character, is that they intend you to just get your burst out as quickly as possible, cancel as many skills, and you actually get damage increase for canceling. So it's not something that is optional, you have to do it. And she even has the ability or the access to low cooldown skills like the low kick right there. This one right here, low kick, Crushing Fist, skills that have such low cooldown, and their like intended purpose is just to be used to cancel into one of the bigger skills that hits for more damage. So here you can see, you know, I can cancel all kinds of skills: high kick, low kick, you know, Crushing Fist, before I cast a bigger skill to get the damage increase. So it's something that's integral to the gameplay. If you don't like canceling, or if you don't have to worry about, you know, you don't want to worry about canceling a skill before, like Muse Uppercut or something before you use a skill, then maybe this character's not for you. But it's something that really kind of, yeah, I think it's really hard here. Okay, it's something that really screams to me that this character, you know, it's something that I really enjoy about the character. So I gotta say, sometimes I gotta think here. Gotta see what I have available. That skill is really risky to cast when this boss gets his movement back. But so yeah, that's kind of like my main thing about this character. It's, like I said, it's pretty standard practice nowadays, but it is something that I think has probably been done the best on this character. It's one of the best characters with the canceling system because of how, almost died there, because of how her skills kind of work with it. They're like designed to be canceled, and they're designed to be just like low animation, low aftercast delay, get it over with, get the skill off, you know. Lightning Dance is even quick, get the skill off, cancel into this. It's just so satisfying, and it's even more satisfying knowing that I don't have to even keep track of my muscle shift, because I have maximum muscle shift. I can cancel anything I want. So that's the main appeal of this character, and that's the main thing. Now there is one thing I want to talk about, and this is not really privy to just the female striker, because it applies to all female and male fighters, and that is the ability to obtain a steal skill. Steal skill, let me explain, because if you don't know about old DFO, then you're missing out on a lot of things that kind of fall through the cracks, and the steal skill was one of those things. Back in the day, they initially attempted to design characters to be able to steal skills from other characters in their subclass, and they did that with some of the older characters. So characters like the female fighter, characters like the male slayer, characters like the male gunner. They're like OG characters, and so they intended. There's where I die against the trash monster. I'm trying to save my cooldowns too much. So they were intending to, and right there you can see I don't have the 16 cancel. So I'm dealing now with the normal cancel system without the cheating swap system. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here is they designed the these skills here. Hopefully I was able to show off why that's so good. Okay, good enough. You can dodge that how you're supposed to, but I guess that's one reason why you might want to do that, so you can actually learn some of the patterns. If you're not strong enough to kill this guy, then you're gonna have to do that. Actually dodge. But anyway, what I'm trying to say here is it's a relic of an old age. The steal skill is a relic of an old age. You can still do it though. It's called Albert's, you know, steal system or whatever. And essentially you have to do actual PvP to unlock the steal skill. And it's something, like I said, is not available to all the characters, only the older ones, and their analog in the other gender. So like male fighter can do it as well, you know, even though he's not as old as the female fighter. Both male and female fighters have it, you know, stuff like that. So neck snap though, neck snap is one of those skills that is a steal skill, but it's one that is like a cut above the rest. The other steal skills are not really all that remarkable. I would say they're not all that useful, and that's kind of how it works out with the steal skill system, is that really you might not even find much use for it. But in this case, neck snap is one of those skills that is useful, and this is why. It acts as a hold. Right there you can see I hit with the neck snap, and it holds them for a good 1 second. And really it's a hold, but it's also an interruption. So if an enemy is in the middle of an attack, a boss is in the middle of doing his big attack, and you can manage to hit him, you can actually interrupt him during his animation. And it's something that's available to all female fighters, not just because the neck snap is a skill that is designed for the grappler, but it's something, if you steal it from the grappler, you essentially get a very, very special hold. So I wanted to mention that because for some reason I know a lot of people who just despise PvP and they don't like having to do PvP for one of their skills, but this is one of those special instances where even if you don't like PvP, it is so invaluable in PvE to have a skill like Neck Snap, which can, right there, just use it right there, stop a boss in his tracks. It can stop an animation from coming out, an entire attack from coming out at all. You can, you know, interrupt, you can hold, and that's a feature that is available on any of the fighter classes. It's something I think is pretty much invaluable. I would say it's not really optional, but I know a lot of people think it is. You know, it's just such a low cooldown too, I gotta add. And because it's not really a grab, you don't have to, it's a quick animation. It's something that you can just, it's almost like I'm hitting him with a crushing fist or something. It's that fast. So, uh-oh, I might be dead here. I might be super dead here. Ooh, ooh, I tried so hard right there. In solo mode, unfortunately, that attack has a few other obstacles than you do in the party mode, so it's actually harder to deal with in normal mode. But I wanted to talk about that really quick. This was not the greatest run here, but I wanted to talk about that feature really quick because it is something that a lot of people don't put a lot of stock into. They think, it's not that big a deal, it's just one skill. But Neck Snap is one of those skills where I feel like it is a big deal. It is something that I think it is worth going through the trouble of stealing the skill. So I think all of my characters did go through that trouble, did do a little bit of PvP to unlock the steal skill. And here I'm going to show you, there's the Neck Snap. You just need a level 1, and I have it on command and what it does right there, bam. All of the fighters have this, so I'm going to just show really quick. Obviously that is a grappler skill that I'm stealing from, but my brawler has it. You know, my brawler went through the trouble of doing PvP, picking up Neck Snap. This is really only available for male Slayer class, both of the fighter classes, and both of the gunner classes. You can see right here, actually, when I go to like my female mechanic here, I also have the option to steal skill. If I go to any other character, by the way, like if I go to, say, my male, let's go to like my female Slayer class, and if I were to look at her character and the skills that she has, it's not even going to be an option. You'll see the steal skill is not up here, and that's where you normally would see it. So you basically just have to do the Albert's quest to unlock your steal skill and get access to Neck Snap. If you're a fighter character, male or female, you need that freaking Neck Snap. It is so good in PvE. Now, in PvP, if you do PvP with any of these other characters that I mentioned, they can essentially get an evasive. They can drop a, like in the case of the Slayer characters, I'm going to show you guys the steal skill on a 0 real quick. You have the option to Bloodlust, which is the Berserker grab. You have the option, this is kind of a big one, flip side counter. So if you get hit in the back, you can actually use the flip side counter to basically get out of a standing combo if they hit you in the back at any point in time. So it's a standing evasive if you need it for PvP. But the steal skill is something that you might not know about. It's something I want to talk about because female striker, I would say, can really, really utilize that. You know, she doesn't have any holds at all in her. Okay, I take that back. She has her Second Awakening is her only hold that she has, and it does hold for a split second before she does that final punch. But aside from that, you want this really low cooldown Neck Snap to be able to get your rotation off safely. You know, in a lot of situations there, you can see Harvat was able to hit me while I was trying to cast things like Tiger Strike. Well, if I hit him with that hold or interrupt him before I bother using the Tiger Strike, it becomes a lot more safe, and I can interrupt a lot of dangerous attacks because of it. So please, I know my guildies, and I keep telling them, I can't convince them, but please, if you're playing a female fighter or a male fighter character, get Neck Snap because it is invaluable in PvE content. Now, if you're playing any of the other characters, getting a steal skill from another class will help you a lot in PvP, but for PvE, Neck Snap is so good. But anyway, guys, hopefully I was able to show off the female striker a little bit that last run. Barring the last run. Look at the first 2 runs. That last run was kind of whack. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys later.